everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good, 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 good. Welcome to everyone, whether you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Welcome to a conversation on showing up with me and Doc. You're right. Doc, we always have folks who don't know who you are. You mind just giving a quick intro about who you are and the work you do in the world?
Okay, so I'm Yolinda Renee Rockman, aka Doc Rock. I am a doctor of clinical sexology, licensed clinical professional counselor, board certified sex therapist, King Conscious professional educator, all those good things. But more so than all of that, in my opinion, is I invite accountability, authenticity, and vulnerability. That's my main things because I feel all three of those things will really help you get in alignment with who you say you want to be. And it's not just about saying it, it's about being it and doing it. That is me.
That's you. Um, all right. Well, we're here to talk about. Thank you for that intro. I was like, that just was like, wow, that's so good. Um, those of you who don't know, and hopefully you do, I'm Aisha T. Hill. I curate the account here at Check Your Privilege. And I'm an author and someone who just believes in personal accountability and spiritual self development.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping that straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
So Doc, let's talk about showing up. I know our show up challenge starts this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We have an interesting conversation, just the way that we're seeing specifically white women in this season.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I've been kind of removed. I've been really focusing on my locus of control. Like, right now I just came in from taking a walk, just kind of being out in nature, being
Mm-hmm.
grounded as possible, being as connected as possible, because there's so much stuff outside of our control right
Yeah.
now that's happening in the world that I've really been intentional about making sure I don't get overwhelmed by that, right? And
Yeah.
just focusing on what I can. So I don't know what that looks like for your community or those you typically work with. Like, are they allowing themselves to get overwhelmed with the shit they can't control?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's always interesting to watch when things happen. I've been calling it a crash out.
Mm,
I'm noticing that they are a group that have always had access and privilege. And now that they're losing their access and their privilege, it's kind of like they got two choices, three, like ghost, like so
mm,
just totally ditch all of it. Um, Escape, leave the country. And a lot of
mm,
people are talking about leaving the country or just put their hand in the sand and kind of give up. But then
mm,
there's like a fourth person who's just like the person who's kind of like you, like I can only focus on what I can control. I'm
mhm,
actively engaged in the work. I'm actively doing my work, but I can't pay attention to the Wizard of Oz.
mm,
Um, I have to only focus on what I can control. And so it's just been very interesting to watch kind of those folks from those kind of four different
mhm,
um, areas of the journey as
mhm,
a facilitator in my work.
mm. So when you say they're attempting to escape, like, I've heard a lot of leave the country, leave the country. I mean, that's great. You know, um, I'll just leave it at that. That's great.
Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, you're gonna leave and then come back when there's a Democratic president because it's comfortable. Like, can I keep it? I mean, we're gonna keep it real. It's like, yeah, I'm escaping right now, but when it feels good, I'm gonna come back. Like that's regular individualism.
And
That's
that's
privilege.
privilege.
That's
Mhm,
using your class and your caste, two different things. Class and
mhm,
caste
mhm,
to throw money at a problem and escape, while the
mhm,
rest of us are trapped here in hell. You
mhm,
get to run away, and
mhm,
some people are okay with that. Some people want to leverage their privilege, and it's no judgment, but it's just
mhm,
really you want to leave because it's not easy anymore.
mhm,
Because you know
mhm,
when the next president comes, guess what the next president's going to do? Make it
mhm,
easy again. And that's this whole conversation around politics that I don't get into. Republican, when it's a Republican, everyone's scared. When it's a Democrat, everyone's safe. But
mhm,
guess who's not safe in either situation?
mhm.
If you
That
look like
part.
if you
Yep.
look like me and
Mhm,
you, we ain't never safe. So
mhm,
imagine you get to escape a situation because of your privilege,
mhm,
class, race, gender, and those of us who are melanated have to sit here and survive. But we
mhm,
know how to survive, which is why I don't see us freaking out. I actually see black and brown black folks like, let's go to the barbecue. Let's have a dance party. Let's go to the Beyonce concert. We ain't even thinking about them people because we know how to
mhm,
survive what they are putting people in white bodies through, and white folks just they just you're losing something that you've always had access to. So the easiest thing to do is to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of us, we really feel like this just isn't our fight, right? We've showed up to so many fights that weren't ours and we weren't appreciated. We weren't, there was no reciprocity.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, no, this one isn't ours. And it's almost as if there's an expectation that we fight so that then they'll have a reason to put a bigger target on our back. And we
Well,
refuse.
sis, it's I just said this in a blog post about a month ago that white apathy is built on Black resilience. And right now, we are not being resilient. We are like, it is your turn. You know what I'm saying? I was even saying, like, man, I'm still showing up like, hey guys, hi, come over here. You're lucky. Because a lot of people are just like, I figure out how to survive. I don't have to help them people. I don't have to show up for those folks and remind them why they're on the journey. And all I'm essentially saying is, hey, this is a healing journey. Heal your way forward. I on Instagram just asked, this doesn't feel different to you? No. Does it feel different to you?
Different as far as what?
Like different as in, like, I know you're just asking a question, but I want you to know it doesn't feel different for me being a Black woman in America. This is the America you're saying it feels different. This has always been my America.
Yeah, I'm like, different how? Like, hard is hard. You know what I mean? It's like, it's always been hard. Like when you've always had to work 3 times as hard to get half as far, like this doesn't feel any different. It feels fucked up, period. But if you're used to being in a fucked up situation, you learn how to adapt, you know? So when they ask the question as, does this feel any different? No, this feels like repetition. This feels like history.
Like, I want you all to really think about this. We are, well, I am, I don't know about you, sis, 3 generations of having civil rights. My grandmother, my mother, and myself. We are the 3rd generation of having civil rights in this country. So prior to this, we have 400 years of this. And we opt out. We've showed, like to your point, Doc, we've showed up, we've protested, we've tried to tell you all what to do. We've tried to help you all what to do. The reality is that you need to grieve that you're losing your privilege. And once you start grieving that, which is depression, awareness, bargaining, which many of you are bargaining right now. Once you get, you'll be like, oh, okay. But to be able to run and to escape, like I send messages all the time. I'm going to Mexico. F this. But I can create Mexico here because I know how to survive this. I can set up a little band of music outside of my patio and create the experience that I need to survive this situation. And I think that's how I show up in this moment.
So I was thinking about that question of, doesn't this feel different? What's interesting is that I don't think it's any different. I just think they stopped giving a fuck about pretending that it is. I think it's just in your face. They don't care about letting you know that only people they care about are people like them. And it's always been that way, but now it's blatant.
I mean, if I could really keep it real, I was actually listening to Lil Jon and them. Like, if you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck. Oh yeah, I've been real loud lately. I don't even care. Because we like that's how they're living. These white men are like, whatever.
Yeah, so they like, just told you they don't give a damn.
Like yesterday, they were like, they're rolling back segregation, and we all over here like, okay,
whatever.
All right. What y'all want me to do about it? They rolling it back. So what y'all gonna do about them rollbacks? You think I'm finna get up and go protest because they rolling something back that I know how to survive?
I know when I see segregation forever. We've been living in segregation forever. Like, there's nothing really different. Even at work, we're still code switching. We're still pretending. We're still not showing up as our full self in these spaces. So there's still been some form of segregation. I've been segregating parts of myself to belong and to survive. So I've never lived fully. So How is this different?
I'm so excited for this rendition of the Show Up Challenge, Doc, because I feel like when I come out I'm in so much shit right now. You know this. I'm in your program. I'm Gene Keys. I'm doing all kind of shadow work. But I think when I get through this iteration of the Show Up Challenge, y'all gonna be like, who the fuck is that? Because I don't, y'all, this is not unfamiliar for Black folks. It's unfamiliar for you. It's unfamiliar to you because you don't know how to ground yourself into the moment. It's either run, wallow, but some of y'all are like, no, we don't care about people. That's why people are giving to our community care fundraiser. That's why people are still coming to classes and workshops, because some of you are like focusing on what I can control. I can't control them white men. Like they're so like the fact that by 2040, this is why they're doing what they're doing, Doc. Let me just keep it real. They banned abortion because supposedly by 2040, the white race will be the minority. They need these women to populate. If I can keep it real with all y'all, Project 2025 is for white women to populate so that white folks are no longer supreme, not the minority in 2040. There is data and science to back that up. So y'all out here fighting these white men and not building community and healing your way forward. Y'all have fun with that. But I've opted out. I'm building community. And I'm empowering people to show up for themselves because I'm living my sobriety healing journey out loud.
So as you were saying that, what I feel like this is an invitation for is to say, fuck it, right? If me showing up in all of these fake ass ways, me trying to appease ways, if all of that is not working and I'm still being taken advantage of, I'm still being abused, I'm still having my rights taken away, fuck it, let me just be myself. Let's see how that works. Fuck it, I'm gonna just be myself.
What happens when you strip away all the rules of the illusion you were socialized to believe? I'm a woman, I have no power. Well, first of all, they call it Mother Earth. Everything grows from the earth. As women or people who identify as women who have... Okay, thank you for letting me know. We create life. We give life. I'm not finna sit up here and have no man calling me anything other than a woman, a goddess. So let's stop like with these realities that in constructs that they have built for us to live in, thinking that we're powerless and we're broken. None of us are broken. The system's broken. We just keep reinforcing it, trying to fix ourselves.
What I was thinking earlier, because I knew we were going to have this conversation, was, you know, people being honest with where they are, right? So if you know that maintaining relationships with some problematic family members is more important to you than showing up in certain ways, you know, I don't feel comfortable, then just admit that shit. Like, don't pretend, don't lie. And it's okay. Like, if you're not in a place where you are ready for that level of discomfort, we'll just keep it above. Just say that, like, man, I really want my maintaining these relationships with my mama, my daddy, or whomever else are, you know, super MAGAs. And I don't want to risk losing them. So I keep what I really feel to myself. Okay.
Right.
You know, but we cause more harm when we pretend that that's not the reality. Like, don't lie and pretend you give a fuck, you know, and you want to come help in this way when you're not going to actually do the work. Because what you're doing is you're taking up space for those who are willing to do the work. So we just go, no love lost. We get it. We just gonna move you to the side.
Right. No, it's never any love loss. It's never. That's a really deep invitation to call people into in this moment. You know, I got some people on Instagram said I needed to hear this. Thank you. And that, you know, someone just said the veil have been lifted for us who thought we'd made progress.
Ooh.
You're right. The veil has been lifted for those of you who thought you made progress because you ain't. Nope. I know what I was going to say was not appropriate. And another comment here says that true. We don't know how to be grounded. Being raised in supremacy teaches us to be fearful. Supremacy is so punitive.
And that's why Show Up is such a beautiful invitation, because it allows you to feel all of those things. And feelings can be difficult. They can feel overwhelming. They can feel unsafe, right? You know, when your nervous system starts to say, oh, what's this? What do you mean accountability? What do you mean, you know, that I might have been part of the problem? What do you mean that what I've experienced all my life might have been some form of trauma? What do you mean? That's a lot to hold, but that's why we do it together, right? That's why we do it in community. So you're not experiencing all of that nervous system dysregulation by yourself.
I think in the culture that they grow up in, though, is highly, how do I say this? They're trained to do it by themselves, right? They're trained to not trust each other. They're trained and socialized to move in that way, right? So how do they lean into showing up in community, right? Now, I do want to keep it real with y'all. Like, for example, I have a community, you know, Doc, you're in there. And in that community, there's a lot of tension. So I'm often having to say messages like the tension is the lesson. Don't stay in the tension, because when you're in community and you're in the tension, that's where the healing comes. And so how do you work with people to tell them to show up and be in community when they're afraid of conflict.
Well, that's the thing. So I was about to say, because I'm someone who's been solo dolo most of my life. I'm someone who's been ruggedly independent. I've been that, right? And so what I've had to do was trust myself so that I can learn to trust other people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so and then conflict, people consider conflict as a negative. And I've said numerous times, conflict can be connective if you're curious, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just in conflict just to be right or just to prove a point, or, then you lose the plot, right? But if you're in conflict because you're on different sides of whatever type of argument or idea or idealism, okay, we're on opposite sides. I'm curious as to how did you get to your side? Like what brought you here versus you wrong and fuck you and blah, blah, blah. Like that's not helpful.
I mean, I'm gonna say this, and y'all gonna, if your feelings get hurt, I need you to do a self empathy practice. What do you expect though from a group of people when that's all they know? All they know is to be angry, to pillage, to take it out on each other, to that's what they know. And
Mm-hmm.
and critical thinking is missing from the conversation because conflict is an invitation to get curious. Conflict is correct is courageous, but their need to be right outweighs their need for connection. In my lived experience working with these folks, their need to prove that they're right, that they know everything, that they're highly intellectual outweighs their need to get curious enough to connect and accept the invitation to lean into ideas that are different from theirs. And I think it's reinforced with social media.
Well, then, I mean, you can't. Everybody not gonna be ready, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make everybody ready. Either you about this life or you're not. And I'm not personally willing to go pull you in. Either you ready, and you can be uncomfortable, you can be hesitant, you can be nervous.
Yeah.
Cool, but you can do all of those things and still be ready, right? You
Right.
can be unfamiliar. You can be all of these things and still say, yeah, I'm bringing all of my discomfort. I'm bringing all of my baggage. I'm bringing all of my shit with me. Can I do this with you? Of course. But if you're allowing all of your baggage and bullshit to be a barrier to connection, that's a you thing. And that's not for me to fix.
Uh, Yep. Someone says so there's the survival reaction or embodied response. Tell me
Okay.
more about that. What do you mean when you say that, Zoe? Survival reaction or embodied response?
Yeah, I would like to know more about what you mean by that as well.
Yeah.
Because I can have my
Um,
own thoughts and they might not be what you're thinking. So I want to know what you're thinking.
yeah. See how Doc just got curious, modeling that in real time? Give us some more clarity and help me understand that.
Yeah, because
I
I don't
think
want to assume, you know?
we live in this world where we assume everything, and it can be a very dangerous waters to tread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we want to, I want us to not always think on a binary as well, like either people ready or they're not. So even though I said that, there's a lot of people are in the middle. So I'm over here self-correcting in real time because there might be more nuance than that, right? You might have people who are not ready, and that's fine. You might have people who are ready, but I'm assuming that the vast majority of people are in the middle, and that's cool.
Yeah.
However, when I say it's going to always be the other person's responsibility to determine where they want to kind of fall on either side, right? If they want to
Yep.
lean more to this way or that way. And all thing we can do for those people who are in the middle is what we're doing, showing up with an invitation, right?
That's it.
And hopefully the invitation is compelling enough for you to do your research, for you to make a decision that is based off information, right? That you can
Absolutely.
critically think, so yeah.
It's interesting that before we hopped on, I remember I'm like, there's 4 or 5 avatars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a curious person, the woman who's like probably still don't know how to say this. There's a curious individual, the
Mm-hmm.
individual who's like, oh, what's this liberation talk? I'm curious to learn more, but
Mm-hmm.
then puts themselves back because it's not comfortable, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
there's the newbies. There's the woman who's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to show up. I'm really gonna tap in, toes in the water. So pre-contemplation, contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Then we got those who are on the journey who are like, oh, they took our rights away. They're moving in inner teenager energy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, they took our rights away. Let's go burn down the system. Fuck this shit. And then they're
Mm-hmm.
cussing each other out on the internet, or they're cussing out MAGA people, and they worried about everybody else but themselves, thinking they taking action, but they're performing. Then you got that fourth individual, the
Mm-hmm.
OG, the
Mm-hmm.
one who's like, I've been on this journey 50 years, and I've realized that I can only control my current environment.
Mm-hmm.
I can only control what I'm doing in my community. I can only control like, oh, there's a food pantry. That's community care. I have extra food. Oh, there's a class I could take on healing codependency. Let me go do that so I can work on myself. Oh, Doc and Maisha are doing the show up challenge. Let me take that while still showing up for myself and the community. So we got 4 different folks out here, 4 different avatars moving around. And where do you lay on that spectrum of showing up?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people get stuck in that pre-contemplative space, right? You know, because there's a lot of resistance. I mean, because to keep it a buck, this work isn't easy. Right?
No.
This work ain't easy at all.
No.
Because if it was, more people would be doing it, right? Which is what sets, you know, those who choose to do the work apart from those who don't. Like there's a really big difference in people who are willing to be uncomfortable, to chisel away at all of the programming and all of the bullshit that has buried your true essence. You know, there's a difference between people who are willing to do the work and not. And that's just what it is.
It's a big difference. And all we can do is give the invitation. You know what I'm saying? I can't do more than to invite people in. And so going back to that comment earlier about survival or reaction, Zoe says that we can either move from survival reaction or embodied response in how we interact with each other. And further says that whiteness is moving from fear, separateness, and scarcity, but we can also move from love, unity, and abundance. And then one more person says it's trauma healing. Yes, I keep saying anti-racism work is healing work. Whatever label you put in it, it's all shadow work.
You know what? I saw this. This is interesting because you mentioned anti-racism. I saw this on LinkedIn, I believe yesterday or the day before. Someone wrote an article about in the DEI space, what really kind of, and I'm ad-libbing their article 100%. But basically they said in the DEI space, what really fucked us up was that we were leaning too heavily on anti-racism, and it made people uncomfortable.
Listen, I told you about DEI, and I'm finna piss a lot of people off. But we being authentic in this season, remember? DEI was a scam. It created initiatives that, just like affirmative action, you know who benefited from DEI? White folks, white women specifically. 80% of the roles of DEI went to white folks. So of course, what was authentic about that? Oh yeah, I'm really, that it really pisses me off because people were so tied to DEI instead of building reparative relationships, transforming. When you transform relationships at work, do you know what happens? It increases your company's bottom line because it makes space for people to see each other's whole humanity, not some, let's go to a bias workshop. And then you're going to these workshops, but you're not practicing them because they're these one and done packaged initiatives in the moment. Like DEI, where it failed was you did focus too much on anti-racism. And also I was talking to Anoy and we were talking about the culture of belonging. What belonging in what sense? Belonging to a culture of white supremacy? Because most of the times when we talk about belonging, we are talking about belonging in white culture. Belonging shouldn't be rooted in white culture because that is perpetuating more harm. Like I have issues with DEI. I'm sorry. I've never, people are like, you're a DEI. I'm like, I don't know what that is. You're anti-racism. No, I'm not. I'm none of those words. I don't overly identify with them. My apologies if you work in that space and I'm offending you. That's actually not even my business. DEI was a scam from the get-go. The minute in 2020 I started seeing all these DEI jobs pop up, I knew people were going to lose their jobs soon. Just like I said 2 years ago, Donald Trump will be the next president. I said it. It's recorded. I heard myself say it in the recent training. And here it goes because I saw the pattern. I knew that we were focusing too much on anti-racism and forced belonging. I knew it. And that's what he ran his campaign on. The woke culture. And people are like, well, he's saying woke, so he's saying nigga. No, he ain't saying that. Like this is him being in office right now. If I were to keep it 100, he ain't thinking about us. They got to repopulate. They need everybody to get back to work. They need to get this economy back the way he wants the economy. This is so much deeper than DEI and what everybody is making it up, making it out to be. It's never been about DEI. Because if it was, we still wouldn't work as hard as we work in work culture in corporate America just to get half of what white people have.
I mean, it's all performative. I mean, DEI, when they was wearing the damn kente cloth and kneeling and doing the fist shit with Pulaski, whatever, Nancy, I'm like, a kente cloth with the Black Lives Matter thing on the boulevard. We don't give a fuck about none of that because we still don't have any rights. So it's all performative.
Flip it over and put it back in.
I'll try that.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute.
Oh, the kids don't give a damn about what you're doing. They don't give a damn about what you're doing.
And I'm human. I remember when I used to be like, I'm on a call. I'm on a call. I'll be with you when I'm done.
Exactly.
But like, it was all performative. It's and even like the word salad. Can I talk to you about the word salad, sis?
Which one?
I'm gonna keep it real. Like this is the season where I'm gonna get unfollowed, blocked, chopped. I don't care. I need to be authentic in my life. I'm tired of code switching. I want to show up fully in my own humanity. Gosh, but like I'm an anti-racist. What does that mean? Equity, equality. I'm fighting for equity. What does that mean? Tell me more. What do you mean you're fighting for equity? What does that mean? What is equity? What does that look like in your everyday life? Many of you can't answer that question. You're an anti-racism educator. No, I'm not. It's just so much word salad that people can over-identify with where it feels like work, and that's why they don't keep going. That's why people are always giving up on this journey, because all you have is word salad. All you have is from the neck up. You don't have an embodied experience. So all you know is to regurgitate, I'm intersectional feminist. No, you're not. You're a patriarchal white feminist who learned a new word and it makes you feel good to say it.
Well, a lot of this stuff takes the humanity out of things that's supposed to put humans first, but we have no humanity in it. So how does that supposed to work?
Exactly. There's no humanity. Like the fact that people thought I was going crazy 2-3 years ago because I was watching people of culture tell white people that they were trash and horrible. What? Y'all invested in people that's abusing you. But those of us who are out here like, hey, y'all, this is just your lived experience, do a little shadow work, like one step at a time. We're the crazy ones. That was ableist, but I was called crazy. There was a whole group that told a whole group of white folks to stay away from me because I'm dangerous. Well, baby, if teaching people to be authentic and loving themselves is dangerous, no problem. I'll take it.
It's you know what's so funny? It's like there's this overcomplication of things that could be so simple. It could really be so simple, you know, but that's, I'm about to piss some people off. Like when we over intellectualize shit, I got a bunch of goddamn degrees, but if I can't talk to you as a human being, those degrees don't mean shit.
That's the problem with degrees. Me and somebody I love was just having this conversation about people with degrees and how she's a threat to people with degrees because she got common sense, and they look at her like she crazy and come back and be like, oh, you were right. And she'll be like, I know. I have another person. I had another person in my life who would say, I wipe my ass with y'all's degrees. My life experience is just as valuable than a degree. And that could be hard for people to hear.
And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it because, I mean, to keep it a buck, you know, my lived experience was much harder to endure than them goddamn degrees were to get. My lived experience was harder to endure than it was for me to get those degrees. So if we had to go bar for bar, degree for lived experience, most people would fold if we had to compare their lived experience that some of us have had to their degrees. So not to knock them, because I got a bunch of them and I'm proud of them bitches, and I'm going to use DocuRock, okay? However, when you start to use your degrees as a way to platform yourself, now we got this hierarchy. Now you're just as bad as the people you sent. Okay, never mind.
No, you know, never mind. You think your degree outweighs my lived experience. Do you know how many Black people? Can we go here for a second? I'm going. Do you know how many Black folks, white folks, Latin folks? Where's your degree from? How do you know what you know? Prove to us your value. I got a book called Heal Your Way Forward. That's your proof. I've been writing books before I was published by a publishing company. That's your proof. That's your proof of life. That's your proof of expertise. We are so caught up in this culture on the wrong things.
Your capacity to critically think outweighs that degree, because if your degree is keeping you boxed into a narrative and you're not willing to have conflict because it scares you, but you're going to use your degree to kind of, okay. You're going to use your degree to kind of protect you from conflict because you can't have those type of conversations because you lack oh, okay.
Listen, when I worked in the church and everybody had a degree and was becoming pastors and stuff, and they're like, what's the alternative route for Maisha to become a pastor? There was an alternative route, but it's like, okay, I'm taking the alternative route. What's wrong with that? Because you got a fucking degree, you better than me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And again, respect to those of you who are in Black bodies who went and got that piece of paper so that you can have livelihood. But in 2025, we learning that them pieces of paper, what we gonna do now? All we got is each other, Black folk, white folk, Latin folk, indigenous. All we got is each other, but we can't keep like y'all. Like somebody wrote a review of my book, wasn't a white person. She talks too plainly. This is basic knowledge. Well, sometimes you want to make the content digestible for people. Some people don't need those big ass GRE words to know that they are loved, whole, and human. And that's
well, they hate my book then because I cussed and everything else in my academic book.
That's the problem.
Oh, goodness.
I have a degree, so I'm better than you. But let me tell you something about your degree. Okay? And you being in the middle class that's disappearing. Wow, you got a degree. You were able to buy yourself a nice car. You were able to buy yourself a nice house. That's cute, but you're struggling on the inside. You're dying on the inside because you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I was just about to say that because, I was that person. Like my degree and all of that was how I felt worthy. Let me go get another degree because that's how I feel like I'm worthwhile. I'm not worthy because I was taught my intellect was the only thing that made me of value. So if I didn't have something to prove that I was somebody, then what? So I get it. So a lot of that need to strive, that need to conquest, that need to get, that need to be better than is trauma-based.
Yeah, all of it. It's the need to, it's a need to be. How about we focus on a need to be ourselves and to see ourselves wholly human and capable of loving ourselves and the collective. This is what I talk a lot about codependency, Doc. Like we don't realize like we're actually codepending on each other, and it's a form of manipulation and control rather than embodied love and like presence for ourselves.
Which is why the first thing we talk about in Show Up is surrendering.
Surrendering. What do you need to surrender? What do you need to let go of? Who do you need to become? What do you need to step into?
Yeah.
And that's the part where everyone, usually by the second, third week, I think we notice people disappeared. They got to surrender or like, okay, I can surrender. But then when it comes to anything else, it's like, it's too hard. It's too hard to show up. Why is it so hard for us to show up for ourselves?
And that was just about to say that, like out of all of the different things we did in Show Up, I think the hardest one was for people to give love to themselves.
Yep.
And that was the hardest thing. Like, yeah. I ain't gonna give too much away, but yeah, because
we're not gonna give too much away. We are gonna do that every week again. So we do an activity called Love and Self-Love, and that is the hardest thing for people to. You could talk about how you love somebody else, but you struggle to talk about how you love yourself. Always. I think I had told somebody like a couple days ago, like I love that my teeth are not what they used to be as a child. My mom was like, I paid all that money for your smile. Look at your smile now. Life experience. I'm missing teeth, but I'm a smile anyway because I love myself. If you don't like my missing tooth, pay for me to go to the orthodontist, the dentist, get my teeth extracted and get me some veneers. You pay for it. But I'm going to love myself with my broken teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. And because they had to do it every week it got harder, right? Because, we have our basic 1 or 2 or 3 because we've probably been somewhere. They have to ask you what's your strengths and all of that. And so, yeah, they can pull out 1 or 2. But by the time we got to week 5, it's like, so why do you love yourself? It's like, well, shit, I didn't already told you this, and this. I don't know. So it was a struggle. Right?
Yeah.
Struggle.
We've been socialized to love everyone else and help everyone else and put ourselves on the back burner. And how much more can you put yourself on the back burner in this season of your life?
Well, loving yourself is arrogant. That's conceited. Not supposed to do that. What if your head gets too big? What if you become, confident? What if you believe in yourself?
Well, when you live in the imagination of an old white man, of course you're gonna think it's selfish to love yourself. The dear sister friend Ayana Understood asked us, whose imagination are we living in? We're living in the imagination of these old white men, the ones that's in power right now, and y'all trying to fight I ain't fighting y'all. I am not fighting y'all. I
So
will
what do
not.
they need to do to get in and show up? For those who are open to the invitation, where they got to go?
So this is the invitation. Show
Oh,
up.
okay.
It's right there on the screen. Showupchallenge.me. Challenge
Mm.
yourself and take our show up challenge. It's six transformational weeks that you on the other side will come out incredibly different. To the fact that we have 1 or 2 people coming back again,
Mm-hmm.
including us, because we also participate.
And it changed us. Like we was like, damn, like why am I activated? Like this is stupid.
Right. We was journaling, doing the homework. I think people think when you facilitate something, there seems to be this idea that like you're the expert.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is like that season where I don't know for you, but for me, it's like I'm not the expert. I'm a hot mess. That's why I'm on these lives with my beret. And yeah, I'm just a mess. I'm a mess. I'm a beautiful mess, and I love it.
Beautiful mess. It's a both and, right? We can show up in a position of, leadership, and even those words are difficult for me: leadership, authority, all this other stuff, because of the connotation that comes with it. But the truth be told is that somebody has to be at the front. Somebody has to be willing to take that first step. Somebody has to be willing to trailblaze and tell everybody else step up too. So that means if I have to be the one to blaze the trail until other people figure out, oh yeah, there are other options. There are other things we can do. Then I'd go sit my ass down. So come on, y'all. Shit. So I can go sit down.
Man.
Because we in this together.
And I'm just letting y'all know this show up challenge, we only do it in the fall and spring. In the summer, we do not. We take care of ourselves. But if you really are in the space where you're looking for something deeper, with deeper meaning, if you're watching this, I see a couple of you all who took this challenge. Can you put in the comments what the challenge was for you, what it was like for you on this journey with us for the last time? If you are really ready and you really want to like really go deep, we are really inviting you to do that with us. We might go live a couple more times because there are spaces open. Like it's time now, you all. Like if these dudes in office are activating you and you just want to, it's go time, let's burn it down. We can't burn it down because what about the people with disabilities? What about the people on Section 8 and food stamps? If we burn it down, how are we going to care for these people? But if you really feel like it's time, like please go to the link, click on it. We have limited scholarships this round. We usually don't turn people away, so you can get on the scholarship wait list for this specific challenge, but we would love to have you.
Or you can scholarship somebody. Like if you say, oh, I don't know if I'm ready, but you want to gift someone the opportunity, feel free to do that too. I mean, there's multiple ways to be of service and be in community. So
absolutely. There's a specific link for this challenge if you want to be a sponsor. So if you send a message, Micah will respond back to you and he'll give you the scholarship link. If you want to sponsor someone, you can use your credit card. That's been a conversation actually. What are ways that people can use their privilege? You want to sponsor someone and you have an active credit card, you can use your credit card. Well, we take credit card. We take extended payment plans. That's just what we do. We try our best to make it accessible. So if you don't have the capacity or the time, but you have the dollars and you want to support somebody with a scholarship, let us know.
Yeah. We hope y'all to see y'all there, right? Because this is all of us. So it's a fun time. I mean, it don't always have to be so serious. I'm silly sometimes because it can be heavy and we want to have some levity to it. So we have a good time.
We do have a good time. I think it's going to be twerk time.
I throw my little booty in the circle.
Hey, throw that. All right, y'all. Well, I'm gonna go because I clearly need to go move my body and transmute some energy that I'm sitting with in my body right now. Carly says, Carly left a comment. As someone who took this challenge, we need it now more than ever. Carly is on Instagram. She says, we need it now more than ever. So show up. If you took the challenge, you're going to get an email that says, would you be interested in sponsoring somebody else? We have 6 people on the wait list. And if you're someone else, we'll probably have 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you're someone who has capacity to support someone for this challenge, please let us know. If we could give it for free, we would, but unfortunately we can't.
Bills, gotta pay them bills.
Gotta pay them. Don't sing that song because you know in my head it's can you pay my bills? Can you
Can you pay my telephone bill? Can you
Hey,
pay
can you
my
pay
automobile?
if you did, then maybe we could chill.
I don't think you do. So,
you and me are
through.
See, you see this joy? This is what it's like to be in a challenge. So sign up.
Bye.
Thank y'all for being with us. We're gonna get this on the platform later today and have a good day.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.